Since January, Gwinnett County police have arrested more than a dozen members of the 59 Brims Bloods street gang, including 29-year-old Wonnawon Wonzon, the alleged leader of the Atlanta branch of the gang, and Marlon Smith, the so-called leader of the gang branch in Virginia, North Carolina.
The leader of a serial armed robbery crew has been sentenced to life in prison after violent restaurant robberies across Gwinnett County, all happening in 2017. Demetrius Sims was given 4 consecutive life sentences plus 90
Story tonight at 11. The founder of the Mafia criminal street gang in Middle Georgia was sentenced to the maximum prison term allowed by law for illegally possessing a firearm. 45-year-old Alfonso Clyde will spend the next 15 years behind bars, followed by 3 years of probation.
Officials say there are about 70,000 gang members in the state of Georgia, and they say most of the violent crimes and crimes that involve property are committed by suspects associated with some of these local gangs.
Violence in Georgia has escalated in recent years, with groups like the 59 Brims Bloods, Jack Boys, and Black Gangster Disciples wreaking havoc through drug trafficking, armed robbery, and murder. Key figures such as Wonnawon Wonzon, Tamario Wise, and Gregory Marshall have led these criminal networks, spreading violence across communities. Law enforcement agencies have responded by intensifying their efforts to dismantle these gangs and bring their leaders to justice. This report highlights the rise and fall of some of Georgia's most notorious gang leaders and the ongoing fight against organized crime.
New tonight, police say they've dismantled a dangerous street gang in Gwinnett County.
That's right. 2 gang bosses, along with several other more gang members, are behind bars tonight.
Since January, Gwinnett County police have arrested more than a dozen members of the 59 Brims Bloods street gang, including 29-year-old Wonnawon Wonzon, the alleged leader of the Atlanta branch of the gang, and Marlon Smith, the so-called leader of the gang branch in Virginia, North Carolina.
We believe that they are responsible for several crimes.
In January 2019, the Gwinnett Gang Task Force, which includes detectives and uniformed officers from the Gwinnett County Police Department, as well as deputies from the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Office, launched an investigation into the 59 Brims Blood Street Gang. The 59 Brims, originally formed in the Ocean View Hills neighborhood of San Diego, have been active in Gwinnett County and the surrounding metro area for over a decade, engaging in various criminal enterprises. The investigation led authorities to identify Wonnawon Wonzon, 29, as the Atlanta leader of the 59 Brims, along with other key members of the gang's leadership. Bandana, 34, was identified through evidence and self-admission as the leader of the 59 Brims in North Carolina and Virginia. Smith was arrested as part of the investigation. All 5 were validated members of the 59 Brims Bloods. The investigation uncovered additional gang members and resulted in the seizure of significant amounts of illegal drugs. Authorities also recovered 18 firearms, 4 of which had been reported stolen. Tamario Wise, alleged gang leader of the Jack Boys gang, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 14 additional life sentences in 290 years. According to Channel 2 Action News. Wise and co-defendant Robert Veal were convicted on October 11 of multiple offenses in a sweeping 90-count indictment. While Wise received his sentence on Wednesday, Veal's sentencing was postponed because his attorney was not present. Veal is expected in court on Monday, where he could face up to 8 life sentences and an additional 140 years. Prosecutors said Wise and Veal were involved in a violent string of robberies that began in mid-October 2010. Their crime spree reached its peak on the night of November 22, 2010, when Wise, Veal, and a third accomplice, Raphael Cross, robbed Charles Boyer and his girlfriend outside of Virginia Highland apartment complex, fatally shooting Boyer. Just hours later, they invaded a Grant Park apartment, where they tied up 2 men, robbed them, and did the unspeakable to a woman who lived there. The Atlanta Police Department announced the arrest of 3 individuals for Boyer in late December. Further investigation, however, revealed that Wise, Veal, and Cross were part of a criminal street gang known as the Jack Boys. Wise, who was identified by police as the gang's ringleader, was the only suspect named prior to the indictment. The Jack Boys began their crime spree on October 19, 2010, with an armed robbery and carjacking on Rambling Drive. Over the next several weeks, they committed a series of violent crimes in various locations. On October 21, they carried out another armed robbery and carjacking near Reynolds Drive, close to the Lakewood Amphitheater, followed by an armed robbery on Bond Drive near Amal Drive on October 22. They targeted a taxi driver on November 8 and an armed robbery on Pickfair Avenue near Lakewood Amphitheater. On November 11, they committed an armed robbery and carjacking on Pollard Boulevard, just south of Turner Field. Their spree continued in Buckhead, where on November 19, they robbed and carjacked a 2005 Toyota Highlander on Greenview Avenue, and the next day, November 20, they committed a similar crime on Ferncliff Road. The violence escalated on November 21 when they robbed a victim on Park Avenue in the Polar Rock neighborhood. The following day, November 22, they carried out the fatal armed robbery of Charles Boyer on Virginia Avenue in Virginia Highland. The spray continued with more crimes in Grant Park on November 23, where they did the unthinkable to a woman on Boulevard and committed additional armed robberies on Burn Street and Underwood Avenue in the Ormwood Park area and aggravated assault on Horn Avenue. The crime spree concluded on November 27, when Wise was arrested after kidnapping and robbing a victim in Benteen Park. Black Gangster Disciple leader Gregory Marshall pleads guilty to voluntary manslaughter and the beating demise of an Albany man being initiated into the gang. He's sentenced to 15 years in prison. Reginald Richardson was beaten and kicked to his demise while being beat into the Black Gangster Disciples in June 2009. Police says bringing down these gang leaders helps in the fight against gang activity. That's it, not all fun and gangs. There is serious time and punishment involved in this, said Albany Police Sergeant Pritesh Patel. About a dozen people have been implicated in Richardson's demise in an investigation that has run 2 years. 5 men are scheduled to stand trial for Richardson's demise July 18th. 6 other suspected gang members have already entered plea deals and are supposed to testify against the other defendants.
Top story tonight at 11, the founder of the Mafia criminal street gang in Middle Georgia was sentenced to the maximum prison term allowed by law for illegally possessing a firearm. 45-year-old Alfonso Clyde will spend the next 15 years behind bars, followed by 3 years of probation. Clyde pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon in April. The founder of the Macon Mafia gang was arrested in 2023. According to court documents,
the founder of the Mafia criminal street gang and man accused of aiding in 2023 Bibb jail escape is facing up to 15 years in prison for illegally possessing a firearm, according to United States Attorney's Office, Middle District of Georgia. 45-year-old Alfonso Clyde pleaded guilty to 1 count of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon on April 10. Clyde is facing a maximum of 15 years in prison to be followed by 3 years of supervised release. Clyde's sentencing is scheduled for July 3, and there is no parole in the federal system. The Mafia criminal gang is tied to violent crime and large-scale fentanyl distribution in Macon and Middle Georgia, causing grave harm to our community, said U.S. According to court documents and statements made in court, Clyde is the documented founder of the Mafia, a criminal street gang operating in Middle Georgia and West Virginia. Clyde was wanted on an outstanding probation violation warrant when officers from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office and Jones County Sheriff's Office arrested him on October 8, 2023. They found a digital scale with a white powdery substance in the front seat of the SUV that he was driving. They also found a Taurus G2S 9mm handgun inside the glove box. In November, Sheriff David Davis said the Mafia, including Clyde, aided in the Bibb County jail escape in October 2023. He's a particularly high-ranking member of the Mafia organization, Davis said. Now he's facing federal charges in connection to his involvement with Mr. Barnwell and in the escape.
The leader of a serial armed robbery crew has been sentenced to life in prison after violent restaurant robberies across Gwinnett County, all happening in 2017. Demetrius Sims was given 4 consecutive life sentences plus 90 years. Police say for weeks, Sims led a crew of bandits who set up restaurants to be robbed. In one of those incidents, Sims shot a manager of a pizza store in Mountain Park.
Demetrius Marquel Sims, 30, the leader and most dangerous member of a group responsible for a series of armed robberies targeting Gwinnett County restaurants, has been sentenced to life in prison, according to the district attorney's office. Between August and October 2017, Sims led a crew of bandits in a string of armed restaurant robberies, starting with the Steak and Shake at 2110 Pleasant Hill Road in Duluth. On August 14, Sims robbed the Steak and Shake manager after Trevon Poole, a co-defendant and employee of the restaurant, tipped him off about when cash would be available. On September 28, Sims robbed a delivery driver for China House, located at 2433 Mistletoe Lane in Snellville, after placing a food order to lure the driver. A few days later, on October 1, Sims orchestrated the armed robbery of Golden Corral at 3888 Stone Mountain Highway in Snellville with the help of another co-defendant, O'Shea Howard. During the robbery, Sims fired a shot at the manager when he attempted to flee. On October 4, Sims set up the robbery of a Papa John's delivery driver at the Vines Apartments in Norcross, using his own phone to place the order. When police later broadcast Sims' phone number to alert restaurants, Sims shifted back to robbing restaurants in person. On October 9, Sims shot the manager of Marco's Pizza at 4045 Forks Trickham Road in Lilburn during an attempted robbery. Investigators later found that Sims' phone had been logged into the Wi-Fi at a nearby Publix at the time of the incident. Sims was arrested on October 13, 2017, following the robbery of an employee at Royal Package Store on Lawrenceville Highway in Lilburn. He was convicted on multiple charges, including 4 counts of armed robbery, 2 counts of attempted armed robbery, 6 counts of aggravated assault, and 6 counts of firearm possession. Gregory O'Neill Big Homie Wade Jr., 31, a leader of the 1831 Piru Bloods gang, was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison this week for drug trafficking and possession of a machine gun. Wade led the gang throughout 2020 and 2021, during which time the group committed numerous crimes involving drugs and firearms in the Athens, Georgia area. According to the Office of U.S., the gang controlled 2 apartment complexes on Sycamore Drive, The Flats, and Regency Park, known among members as the Trenches, where they engaged in the sale of guns and drugs. The sentencing stems from a lengthy investigation, Operation Tourniquet, which targeted violent crime and fentanyl distribution in the Athens-Clarke County region. Wade's gang, the 1831 Piru Bloods, is a local branch of the nationwide Piru Street gang that originated in Compton, California in the 1960s. In July 2021, authorities executed a search warrant at Wade's apartment on Jennings Mill Parkway. Wade attempted to escape by jumping from a 3rd-story window, but was quickly apprehended by a police K-9 unit. Inside the apartment, law enforcement officers seized multiple drugs, a Glock 19 handgun equipped with an illegal auto-sear switch, converting it into a fully automatic machine gun, was found in Wade's bedroom dresser, along with a 30-round extended magazine and a 50-round drum magazine. Wade admitted to keeping the weapon for protection. Additionally, officers recovered other firearms and a kilo press, used for compressing drugs for distribution. Wade confessed to buying and selling large quantities of fentanyl and other drugs in the Athens area. The arrests of gang leaders like Wise, Marshall, and Clyde mark significant victories for Georgia's law enforcement, but the fight against gang violence is ongoing. As these leaders face the consequences of their crimes, authorities remain vigilant in their efforts to dismantle criminal networks and protect communities. The downfall of these gang leaders sends a clear message: gang violence will not go unchecked, and justice will prevail in the battle to secure Georgia's future.